Hi everybody, for those of you that are on the Chevy Volt Owners Group, this is G. Michael Murphy, Mike to all his friends. Mike was gracious enough on my trip up to Chicago to host me here in his home, give me a place to stay overnight, both on the way up and the way back. It's 12 hours from Dallas to St. Louis, and I've got another 4 to go before I get to Chicago. As you can see, Mike's a Volt fan just like I am. In fact, a man of discriminating tastes. He's got the blue one just like I do. Obviously the most beautiful color for a Volt. And there's some interesting things here that I wanted to ask Mike about. One, what brought you to the Volt? How did you end up in the Volt family?
I ended up in the Volt family because I have a 50-plus mile commute every day back in, round trip, and I was burning a lot of gasoline. And I basically was deciding it was time to get something a little more fuel efficient. And I was hemming and hawing about between going with a Prius like my wife has, or maybe waiting a couple years, driving the wheels off the car that I had, and then buying a used Volt. And a friend is a Chevy Volt dealer, or a Chevy dealer, and Cadillac dealer also, and he was asking me about the Cadillac one, the CTS that I used to have, and I basically told him I liked it, but I wasn't going to get another one because I needed something a little more fuel efficient and so on. And I told him about the idea of a Prius versus a used Volt, and he said, "Oh, you don't want to get a used Volt. You won't be eligible for the tax credit." And I said, "Tax credit?" And so that started it. And he told one of his salespeople to put me in the Volt for the night, and I was hooked. And then I just had to try and figure out a way to make it work. So I ran the numbers. I ran them very conservatively, specifying that I'd only be using 60% electricity and 40% gas because I wouldn't be charging over at work, which it turned out I was able to charge at work. And I even running the numbers very conservatively, I was saving about $175 to $180 a month in fuel. And the reality has been over $250 a month in fuel. So the first year driving the car, I saved over $3,300 in net fuel costs, gas plus electricity. So it was definitely worthwhile, and I feel that the car is actually a step up from the CTS that I was driving. It's a pleasant surprise, and I'm very happy with the car.
Now, I think last night you mentioned you've had 2 or 3 Cadillacs, right?
I'd had 2 CTSs in a row. I had a 2004 that I bought new, and I had a low mileage 2006 that I bought used about 4 years later.
What's your excitement level for the Cadillac ELR that's coming out?
It's a really cool car. It looks nice, but I don't think that, personally, I can't justify the cost difference unless I see a lot more than I'm seeing in print about the vehicle. I just, I don't think that it's that much of a step above it to be worth that much of a price above it.
Okay. Now, Mike's quite often on the Chevy Volt Owners Group, probably at least as much as I am. Yeah, we both won't shut up about our cars. And he's as militant as I am about this. His license plate frame down here says, "OPEC can kiss my gas." So that's definitely the kind of attitude he and I both share about those ICE cars out there, internal combustion engines. Now in the background, there's a couple of solar panel arrays that we see here. Tell us about those.
Well, the first one is this little array over here on top of I've got a raised bed garden that's got it over like a trellis kind of thing. I put that solar panel in there, and it runs a cable underneath, across the yard, and it powers what was built 10 years ago for my kids as a playhouse. And we wanted to have power out there, but we didn't want to have 110 out there electrocuting them. So I put in this little solar array, and I had a car stereo in the garage that it was sitting in boxes that I pulled out of a previous vehicle. So I built it into the playhouse, and we put in some RV lights, and so the whole thing's 12 volt powered. And this last summer, I made the solar panel 4-season adjustable so that I get more efficient generation, and so that powers that little shed, which now is our garden shed. We have electric lawnmowers that charge up in the garden shed. So
electric lawnmowers,
yeah.
of course.
So I put in an inverter in there, and I use just the standard chargers for the lawnmower. One's a 28 or 24 volt, the other one's a 48 volt, and it's all a 12 volt array. So the 12 volt storage battery power through the inverter powers the chargers for it, and I charge up batteries for cordless yard tools and things like that too. So all that stuff is not gas operated. This is a solar array that we put on the garage. I would have put more. I'd love to have more, but we have so many 100-year-old trees around here that I can't find any place to put more. But the 6 solar panels I have there are providing about a third of the power that the car is actually using. So that actually has helped to lower my bills quite a bit there too.
Now, did you install those yourself?
I did not. I actually had those installed by a local company called Mid-America Solar. And in Missouri, there's Ameren, Missouri has a really great rebate program that for every installed watt you put in, you get $2 rebate back. So my cost from the installer was about $4.75 a watt. So I got $2 back.
Yeah.
Right, I got $2 back right away. Then there's a federal tax credit of 30%. And at the time, they also were buying solar renewable energy credits that worked out to about another 75 cents a credit, or 75 cents a watt. So I got a 2,880. The net cost of the panels was $69.98 or something like that. I got 2,880 back as a direct rebate within a month after they were installed. I got another $900 check for the SREX, the renewable energy credit. And then we file our taxes this year. I'll get another $2,099 tax credit on that. And then the installer also had a program in place where if you refer someone, and another Volt owner site member was interested, so I actually referred him, and I got a $500 check back from him. So my net cost for the whole installation is about $600 right now.
Are you hearing this, Texas lawmakers? Let's do something like that for Texas. I'd love to have some solar panels on my house.
But it's actually, I think Texas has something in place, but I can't remember what it is. But it's actually, it's exciting to see it when, bright sunny days like today, and you see you can actually log on and check to see what the power generation is from the inverters. And if I actually had full exposure, and I didn't have all these trees here, like some areas in Texas where there aren't any trees, is I wouldn't have to. I'd be generating more power because you use a single inverter instead of using a microinverter on each panel, and you can actually generate a lot more power that way. It's all our attempts to do things and use a little bit less energy. And another thing that we did last summer which I don't think we've talked about, is we put in ground source heat pumps, and that lowered our overall energy bills by approximately 40%. So, and this is a 115-year-old house. It's not easy to
really,
yeah. So that's why some of the things look a little dilapidated in some areas. We're working on trying to fix it up continuously. That's why there's a lot of construction stuff around inside the house. But a couple of years ago, we had the basement insulated. We had a tuck point the stone foundation, and then spray foam insulation, and that tightened everything up and reduced air infiltration. And again, it's just all part of reduction of fossil fuels and reduce our overall energy footprint.
Now, what is it you do for a living?
I'm an optometrist.
Okay, and you have your own practice. It's called what again?
Vision Care Associates.
Vision Care Associates in St. Louis.
In Swansea, Illinois, yeah.
Or actually, yeah, just
St. Louis
on
area,
the other side
yeah.
of the river. Then your commute is how far from here?
It's just over 26 miles one way.
So normally in a Volt, you would have to go to gasoline at some point, but you did something interesting at your office.
Yeah, Fortunately, my landlord I've got a great relationship with, so for the first several months that I was there, they just let me plug the charger into the outside outlet because it costs so little to actually charge the car. I only used a little over half the charge on the way over there, so I was pulling about 8 kilowatt hours, and we were paying roughly 10 cents a kilowatt hour at the business rate, so 80 cents a day to charge the car, and they said, oh sure, go ahead, plug it in. But after a while I decided that the charging infrastructure needed to be, we need to jumpstart it somehow. So I actually installed a level 2 charger at my office, and I installed a dual. So I can plug in and other people can plug in. And there are several, I have several patients who have Volts, and we are trying to attract more people that have Volts and other electric vehicles to the area that realize that, you know, somebody is doing something to help support this. And so the funniest story I have is a guy who lives in Utah, Salt Lake City, flew to New York City for business, and while he was there bought a plug-in Prius and was driving it back across the country. He drove about 18 miles out of his way to come to charge up his plug-in Prius, but it was the farthest that anybody had gone. He was sitting out in his car. It was 95 degrees outside. He's sitting outside in the car, and I had to go in and invite him inside to the air conditioning so he wouldn't melt in the car. But that was kind of an interesting story there. But I have one patient who lives in Verdon, Illinois, which is 80 miles away, and another one who lives in Montrose, which is 100 miles away, and another one who lives in Chicago, 300 miles away, and they all drive Volts, and you know, they drive down and plug in, and it's, you know, just a small give back to them, but it's also just helping support the electric vehicle community. And it's the first public charging station on that side of the river that was not associated with a government entity of some sort, and it's still the only one.
Hopefully times will change that. Now, recently, was it the Detroit Auto Show that you had a crew go work?
St. Louis Auto Show.
St. Louis Auto Show. So Mike actually volunteered with some other people that are interested in the Volt, and they volunteered to work in the Chevy booth around the Volt. And when I come back through here Sunday, if I get here early enough, they're going to be doing their post-mortem meeting on how that went, what the learns were from that event, and hopefully have some information they can get back to GM so that GM can better promote the cars, because they actually sold some cars at this show. So we'll be covering that hopefully this Sunday or Saturday when I'm driving back through, and have a video for you on that as well. Have a good one, and it's off to the Chicago Auto Show.